Welcome to the Irishman, Englishman and Scotsman Football Podcast. This is the Irishman, Englishman and Scotsman Football Podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to announce joining me on the show today, Republic of Ireland legend, Terry Phelan. Terry, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be on the show and talking about obviously my career and what I achieved and who I played against and where I am actually now at this present moment.
Right, Terry. As always, we go right back to the start. You're born in Manchester, kid. You obviously grew up there. Mad for it. All right. Salford, Stone Roses, Oasis, Manchester. Who did you support as a boy?
Well, obviously, growing up, it was always going to be Manchester United or Manchester City, and obviously it had to be different, and it was Manchester City, to tell you the truth. That's why I was quite quick, because I got my first Manchester City shirt, and I had to run quite quickly, because growing up in, different parts of Salford was awful difficult, because there was a lot of Manchester United fans around there. But obviously, Liverpool was the team to watch. So I really grew up on the TV. It was always Liverpool on. Watched them and watched Manchester City and all. So never really went to Old Trafford too much, to tell you the truth. If I did, I was dragged there watching my mate who was a ball boy for the Manchester United, and he was doing the reserve. So I used to go down there and just watch. But for me, I think it was Manchester City then. Obviously watching Liverpool, because they had the fantastic side, didn't they? In the 70s, the 80s, and obviously ended up playing against them in the EPL.
Right. So you're a true blue all the way, Terry. You had an absolutely brilliant career, playing for some huge clubs: Leeds, Swansea, Wimbledon, Man City, Chelsea, Everton, Palace, Fulham, Sheffield United. You also played in America and New Zealand. You started off with a season at Leeds, then had a season at Swansea before signing for what were known as the Crazy Gang at Wimbledon with the likes of Vinnie Jones and Dennis Wise. How crazy were they?
Well, I mean, listen, when my first club could have been Manchester City, to tell you the truth. I could have signed for Manchester City as a 12-year-old, but decided to go to Leeds because Leeds was in the old second division then, and players was getting on a little bit. So I had a better chance of getting in the first team. So, growing up and playing for Leeds all the way right through from the youth team to the reserve to the first team was a great achievement in itself. But then, obviously dropping out and going to Swansea with Terry Phelan, that was a great year there. And then going to the Crazy Gang. I remember Terry Phelan turned around and said, "You're going to Wimbledon?" And I said, "Wimbledon?" I said, they play tennis down there. They haven't got a football team. He said, "Oh, yeah, they have got a football team. You're going. We're selling you for 100,000. He got me on a free transfer. He got 100,000 for me, and he looked after me and all, Terry. So very indebted to him for doing that. But going to the Crazy Gang, the first 6 months was the hardest 6 months of my entire life. Seriously, I didn't know what was going on. I seen these lads doing things what I'd never seen before. Not being, ultra professional at some parts, other parts, nilch.
Give us an example, Terry.
Well, when you'd go into the dressing room, and when I first went to the dressing room, you'd see a pair of Churchill shoes being nailed to the bench, and these shoes was probably 200, 300 pounds worth of shoes from the King's Road or from Knightsbridge. And when they're nailed to the bench, you're thinking, who would do that? What state of mind? Because they didn't want anybody being, too big time, Charlie. So they start on your clothes. I used to just wear a tracksuit, and I was quite all right. They never really done anything to me, because playing for Leeds United, I already had respect, and I played against one or two of the players. So like Vinny, little Dennis Wise was a menace. Obviously, John Fashanu,
John
Alan
Scales.
Clark. Well, John Scales, they're the shoes what got nailed to the bench. John Scales shoes,
Oh.
So he come in, and he went, because he was Gigolo John, we used to call him. He used to come in first of the training field, him and Alan Cork, and he went to pick the shoes up, and he couldn't move them. There was nail there, so he had to go out in his flip flops. He said, "I'll leave it." You never find what's in your soap bag. You'd have to be very careful when you put your hand in your soap bag. You never find out what's in there.
Oh, no.
Your clothes being
chopped up,
torn up or chopped up, yes, or you'd find your clothes burning in the middle of the dressing room. So you'd never know what was going on. It was unbelievable. Your bedroom, you never knew what was in your bedroom. There could be a cow in there, a horse in there. You never knew what was going to be in your soap bag or in your mattress. You just had to be very, very aware, as they say, vision and awareness.
Right, so they truly were the crazy gang. You absolutely shook the world of football in 1998 by beating a star-studded Liverpool team at Wembley to win the FA Cup. Tell me about that. It must have been pretty special.
Well, yeah, obviously you go through the rounds, and as you get closer, we beat Newcastle. Then we get to the semi-finals. White Hart Lane, Dennis Wise scores the winner. You beat Luton. You think you're at Wembley. And who we're going to be playing against? Hey, hang on a minute. It's going to be Liverpool. The mighty Liverpool just won the league. Star-studded, like you've mentioned.
John
Household
Barnes,
names like
Ray Houghton, John Aldridge.
I mean, you can go on and on and on, can't you? Alan Hansen, Gary Gillespie, Peter Beardsley, Jan Molby. You know, there was that many. You know, Steve Nicol, Brucey Grobler. And you're walking out in the you're walking out and you're walking out in the tunnel and you're thinking, listen, we're going to have to shake them up a little bit in the tunnel here. You know, so Vinny started the ranting and the raving with Fash and a few of us. I was quite quiet. You know, when you're in that tunnel, and I seen that tunnel 10 years earlier, watching, you know, teams walk out of that on that wonderful pitch and in that atmosphere of 100,000 people. You're thinking to yourself, am I still dreaming? Well, I pinched myself. I'm playing against Liverpool, who I grew up watching on TV. And I remember watching my first cup final was the 1976 final between Manchester United and Southampton. And then the next final was Liverpool and Manchester United. Manchester United won 2-1. I was gutted, actually, because I wanted Liverpool to win that, obviously being a Man City fan. But you know, 10 years later, 12 years later, walking out on that field, and being against Liverpool, that's what dreams are made of. And, you know, we didn't play great. We didn't play attractive football, but we did a job. And the job got us the win at the end of the day. You know, free kick, what I got, Dennis White whipped it in and Lawrie Sanchez put it in the back of the net. History made. You know, they missed a penalty. Another bit of history made. Dave Besant, the captain, saving the first penalty at Wembley in the FA Cup final. So things went well for us and you need that little bit of luck. But we had no fear about us. We set up right. We had no fear about us. And I think we partied for about 6 weeks later. I remember us coming into pre-season and Bobby Gould says, wow, you're supposed to have been on holiday. If you've been on holiday, all right, but you've just come off the beaches. So yeah, so it was great. It was amazing. And you know, when I joined Man City and I was playing with Steve McMahon, he used to say, Vinny rattled you in that title, didn't they? You know, we won the cup because you couldn't handle Vinny. Oh, he used to go mad, Steve McMahon. But no, it was a great occasion, and you know, you'll always remember it. You'll always remember the detail, what went into it and all.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant when you know the teams against the odds, the unfancy teams, pull off you know a win in like a cup final. It doesn't happen that often. And in my time, I think Wigan won it. Shocked Man City, obviously Leicester winning the league, but there hasn't been that many. So it is great for the neutral when that happens. Right, moving on, Terry. The Ireland team in 1991 had just got to the World Cup quarter-final and was ranked 7th in the world. And it wasn't an easy team to get into. It wasn't like these days where Ireland are pretty poor now and they're crying out for players. Back then, it wasn't easy to get into. Tell me about the call-up, and was it Maurice Sellers or Jack who phoned you up?
Well, it was Maurice Sellers. Don't forget, I'd already come through the youth team. I'd already played in the U21s. I'd already played in the B team. So I was on the radar anyway. But then when I started playing in the old First Division, I started playing with Leeds and started playing in the old First Division with Wimbledon. You know, you think you've got a chance. And then winning the FA Cup, you think you've got a chance. You know, and that chance never come. And I thought I may have had a chance of going to the 1990 World Cup, to tell you the truth. And I never, for some unknown reason, I never got the call. And I was quite late getting into the Irish squad, obviously, because they had some fantastic players there. And I think Big Jack and Morris, God bless their souls, that he was very loyal to the players, you know, and he stayed with the players, which is okay, you know. But it was way back, and I got a phone call. It was in the morning. I remember it being in the morning, and it was Maurice Sellers. But I didn't really think it was him. I thought it was one of the Wimbledon lot messing about, because they had a tendency. Vinny, Wisey, Corky, John Fashanu. They had a tendency to ring you up and pretend it was a newspaper or some random person or from a garage, And you was always kept on your toes. So anyway, I picked the phone up and it was, hey, it's Morris Setters here from Ireland. I'm the assistant manager to Big Jack Charlton. We'd like you to come over. We're playing a game against Hungary. We've got a few injuries. Would you like to come? I says, stop winding me up, Wiser. And I put the phone down. Ring, ring, ring. You know, when you had house phones, then you didn't have mobiles, you had the house phone.
Yeah.
Pick the house phone up, which was as big as anything. A young man, this is Morris Setters here. Can you please be on a flight tomorrow? We're going to send the tickets through to you. I'll be on a flight tomorrow into Dublin because we're going to play Hungary in a friendly. We need you on the plane. I said, Vinny, will you stop winding me up? Wisey, Corky, stop winding me up. Put the phone down again. The phone rang the third time. And Morris turned around and says, young Mr. Phelan, if you put this phone down again, you're never going to play for Ireland again. So I've got Big Jack Charlton with me here, and Big Jack's going to get on the phone thinking, they're really winding me up now. Really winding me up. So Big Jack says, wee man, you put the phone down twice. You put the phone down now, you'll never play for Ireland again. This is Big Jack Charlton here, won the World Cup with England, and I'm now manager of Ireland. I need you on that plane in the morning into Dublin. Please be there. I'm like, is this really Morris Setters and Jack Charlton? He says, yes, wee man. Please do not put the phone down. This is not Vinnie Jones. This is not Dennis Wise. I know you have the crazy gang. Just be on the plane in the morning. So, yeah. So I was on the plane in the morning, and then, 9-10 years later, and many of great games and personalities I've played with. But if I would have put the phone down that time, third time, I wouldn't have played for Ireland, I don't think.
Wow, things could have been very different. Terry, Jack was a legend and influenced so many people. Like, the reason why I played football and fell in love with football as a kid was because of Jack and what he brought to Ireland. What was he like to play for him? What were you, like, your first impressions when you went over to play that game?
Well, from the phone call, I knew he was tough. And I knew, because don't forget, I was at Leeds United, and he used to come in and watch us train and watch us play with the old Regard, Norman Hunter, Peter Lorimer, when he was all there. And so we knew then, and he used to come in, big stature of a fella, 6'3", 6'4", built like a brick wall. We men just go out there and win the game. When we was in the youth team, but actually seeing him, and when I arrived into the hotel, the first thing he did, that big smile, he had his flat cap on. He said, wee man, in you come. Thanks for not putting that phone down. He was telling everybody the story. He put me on the table, sat next to me. He said, welcome to the family. Took me around the table to meet everybody. I knew everybody anyway, because don't forget, I'd been playing at Wimbledon in the old first division from 87 up until I went into the Ireland team. So I knew everybody, but, you get that sense of, wow, this is absolutely fantastic. I'm now playing with the big boys and I'm playing for my country. So this is fantastic. But Jack was absolutely brilliant. But he was no nonsense. You messed about and it was no nonsense. You knew where you stood with him all the time. And all you wanted to do was go out and play and enjoy your football. And he made it simple for you. He didn't make it difficult. He says, the reason you're in this Ireland team is because you're a good player. Go out and play. Shows what you can do. And that was it, basically. And it was great with me all the way right through until he retired from the Ireland national side after that Holland game at Anfield. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I don't recall anybody ever saying a bad word about Jack, but it's great that he he brought up the phone call. That's a sticking point. Very funny story, Terry. Now, Windsor Park, November 1993, Northern Ireland against Republic of Ireland. This was basically, we just needed a draw to qualify for the World Cup in America. The Northern Ireland manager, Billy Bingham, he stoked the flames with his comments about non-Irish born players. And I mean, the atmosphere was going to be toxic enough anyway with the situation between the two teams. Jimmy Quinn, I think he was a QPR player at the time, banged in this half volley, and I was absolutely gutted, like as a 13-year-old sitting in my parents' kitchen in Ireland. And then Alan McLaughlin rescued us with that goal. Yeah. What was that night like? It must have been crazy.
Well, we was already set for the night. We knew what we was going to get. We had role plays of how we was going to play. Jack was great. Morris was great. The staff was great. But don't forget, we had legends in that team who played in World Cups, who played in Euros. Who'd won trophies with the club. So the experience around the younger ones, would I say, or the ones who'd just been in the squad, was absolutely fantastic. But listen, when you've got Kate Adie, the war correspondent, making interviews, and you've got helicopters, gunships flying around. You've got the army out and everything. It was like a war zone, to tell you the truth. But once you go on a football field, it's completely different. You only have to concentrate about one thing, and that's playing football and winning the game. Yeah, we got a bit of stick off the fans, but it wasn't as bad as people thought. It was outside. I think people really blew it up as much as they could and tried to make stories out of it. But don't forget, when we're playing against the Northern Ireland players, we'd sat in a bar with them. We'd sat in the players' lounge with them because we played against most of them anyway. But when people start saying non-Irish players, that's a bit misinjusted, because what is a non-Irish player? Just because we was born in England, but my mother was come over to England, for work. Obviously, she met my father. That's what happened. I've had my Irish passport, and I'm as Irish as they come. I don't speak the language. That's not my fault. It's not my fault. I grew up in Manchester, Salford. If I would have grew up in Dublin, no one probably would have said a word and then moved into England. What would they have said then? So I think that was a bit misjudged or misinterpreted. But when Alan scored, and we should have walked through that group anyway. We had silly games. We lost silly games and we drawn silly games. And it was right down to the wire. And a good friend of mine, Alan, who's not too well at this present time, I hope he does get better, puts on the road to the World Cup in '94. And, again, my first World Cup watching that was 1978, watching in Argentina. So to be there a few years later was absolutely brilliant.
What was that like, Terry? I mean, I remember, obviously, Houghton's goal, just an iconic moment, because Italy broke our hearts with Schillaci in the quarterfinal in 1990, and then the opening game in the Giant Stadium in New York, where there's so many Irish and Italian immigrants, packed to the rafters. Houghton chips the keeper, does a tumble. As soon as he gets up to celebrate, you're there. And that image was all over world football. Every time a World Cup in Ireland is mentioned, there's you and Houghton there. But I mean, it went on, obviously, to there was the defeat to Mexico, the draw with Norway, and then knocked out by Holland, a really brilliant Holland team in the second round. But what was it like playing in a World Cup? It must have been some experience.
Well, I'm getting goose pimples now, and the hairs on my arms and my neck is high as they can be. When you're growing up as a young boy, we have dreams. We don't set goals, because I couldn't set a goal. I couldn't even score a goal, to tell you the truth. So we talk about dreams, and when I do motivation speaking, dreams do come true. I believe that dreams do come true. You're playing an FA Cup final, you play against Liverpool, you're playing at the old Wembley, there's 100,000 there, you win. Then the next phase is, you're playing for your country, you go and play in a World Cup. You're playing against the Italians, who I watched in 1990, I watched in the, World Cups before that. I watched them in '82 when they won the World Cup, and you think the mighty Italians, Italian football was all over the place then with some fantastic names. You're walking down that tunnel and you look up and you're in the Giant Stadium and it's 100,000 people there. Now, this is the World Cup, and you're pinching yourself and you're thinking, am I dreaming, or am I going to wake up, or is somebody kidding me? And the only thing you've got to concentrate on then is that 90 plus minutes and winning the game, not losing the game, winning the game. And we played against the best Italian team who got to the final that year, that tournament, the best Italian team in a long while. And, when the goal went in, we was doing all right. We was defending well, playing well. We played a 4-5-1. Jack really knew what he was doing.
Paul McGrath was playing out of his skin.
Paul McGrath was playing out of his skin. John Sheridan, Andy Townsend, Roy Keane in that midfield three, with Houghton on one side and Staunton on the other side, and Tommy Coyne up front. Myself, Dennis, Babsy, and Packy and Big Paul. We had a chance. And the reason I was up that far is because I was expecting the ball to come out to the left-hand side, because me and Steve Staunton was out there. And obviously, Razor's seen it, and he's gone, boom, over the top of the goalkeeper. I think it's Gianluca's head, if I'm not believe. It's gone in the back of the net. And we're thinking, wow. And he's rolled along my side where I was. And I just thought, this is a time now. A goal's been scored against the Italians. It's a World Cup final. It's the first game. It's fantastic. I'm never going to let this moment down. And I grabbed hold of him. And if you look at the emotions on my face, there was no emotion. It was like I'd seen a ghost, or I was going to be woken up. And that's how it truly was. And this was a dream. To play in a World Cup with your country is one of the most prestigious moments in world football. You can't take that away from you.
Wow. And what was Keane like then? I mean, obviously, we know he's an unbelievable player, and again, broke my heart and millions by not playing in 2002. But a young guy then obviously wasn't as confident or as aggressive as he is now, or was he?
Roy was always Roy. Roy just made people aware of that he was going to say what he wanted to say. And he wasn't gonna beat around the bush. It's simple as that. And sometimes that's the best way to be. But sometimes people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear the truth. And that's what he was. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He was fully committed to Ireland. He didn't want no messing about. Then when you become captain of Manchester United, by the way, the biggest club in the world, sorry to say, the biggest club. When you become captain of that, you want things done right at the national side.
Yeah.
And that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted done. He didn't want the messing about anymore. We'd gone to tournaments. It had to be right. Yeah, players in tournaments gone by. Yeah, we got to the tournament, but we wanted things better. And that's what Roy wanted better. And he was a no-nonsense. You seen him on the field. Off the field, he really didn't say much. If you rattled him, he would give it out to you. But he was quite a character and a quiet guy. He just got on with the business. And there's nothing wrong with that. And, we see him today on TV, and he's absolutely brilliant to watch. I think he's great for TV. We've seen him the other night talking about the Leicester players, and he's got everybody in stitches. That's right, dry sense of humour, but as funny as ever. I'll tell you a little story. I remember meeting him in Manchester. I brought my friend with me who's an avid Manchester United fan for 50 years. I said, look, we're going to beat Roy. We'll get there and be fine. Bit of traffic, and I'm thinking, looking at me watching, I'm thinking, shit, we're touching it in. Then we had to find a parking space in Hale Village. And Hale Village, to find a parking space, is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. And the time's ticking. And I'm going, I can't be late because he'll have a go. I was 30 seconds or 1 minute late. And I've walked up the stairs and he's there and he's giving me the stare. I'm thinking, oh shit, here we go. And he's giving me this stare and I'm looking at my watch and I don't know what to say. And I said, Roy, I'm sorry, like 1 minute late. He went, I'm only just kidding. You don't mind about it. I'll sit down. But he did give me the stare. He did make me aware. That, I was late 1 minute. But that's Roy. Roy was brilliant, wonderful player, great friend. And he always had time. When I started traveling the world and going back to England, he always had time to meet me for a coffee. When he was at the clubs, bring me into the clubs. He always had time for that. So fantastic. Never changed the way you are, Roy.
Brilliant stuff, Terry. Yeah, I mean, sounds like you've had a decent enough relationship, and he is probably Ireland's, one of in the top 3 greatest players of all time, I think, anyway. And also won't forget
with me being number one. No,
you were definitely the fastest, Terry. You were the fastest, I think. Don't forget either that World Cup he didn't play in 2002. He's the main reason why we got there. So I'll never forget that. That group of Holland and Portugal, we'd no chance. We absolutely annihilated Holland in the first half there away. And he got the goal against Portugal. Great stuff, Terry. I mean, I'm a massive Ireland fan myself. And, I have season tickets. I fly back. I've been to loads of away games. I'm delighted that I was, old enough to see a couple of live tournaments. I went to 2012, 2016, the Euros. Brilliant. God knows how long it'll be again because of the current setup. But Terry, you scored one of the greatest goals I've ever seen. For Man City against Tottenham in the FA Cup. You're listening, folks, just Google Terry Phelan wonder goal. Or we're also going to try and stick this up on our Facebook page. But you basically got the ball at left back. You took on the whole Tottenham team before sliding it past the goalkeeper. It's unbelievable. If this was Messi that scored the same goal, we'd be raving about it for years. What was going through your head?
Well, listen, Manchester City, you always want your dreams again of winning a trophy for Manchester City. It was a long time. And, we got to the quarterfinals. We're doing well. We had a great team. Peter Reid was, he was putting a team together, and we're thinking, we've got a chance here. This is our year. And we're flying. We go 1-0 up in the first half. No problems at all. The crowds in Infurior, the willing is on like the 12th man. We're playing out of our skins. I'm playing out of my skin anyway. I love playing for Manchester City. All the clubs I just love to play for and work hard and give something back to the fans with me running, with me hard work. And, you know, we went 1-1 after half time, 2-1, 2 mistakes, 3-1. And I'm thinking, oh, what's going wrong there? And then 4-1 to a Spurs side who wasn't particularly great, to tell you the truth. I'm thinking, what's going on here? So I said to Tony Coulton, I said, big man, roll the ball out to me. I'm just going to have a go. But I was threatening it through games in the EPL anyway, and for a long time. So I ended up getting the ball, thought, right, I'm just going to have a go. Waltzed the way through. Big Niall Quinn helped me a little bit. He blocked a couple of Spurs players off, and I ended up finding myself on the edge of the 18-yard box. And goalkeeper, I think it's Walks, comes out, and I think I've just got to slip it past him and finish the job off. And I slipped it past him, finished the job off, and I thought at least I've give the Manchester City fans something a little bit to smile about. But then, obviously, the fury of the Manchester City fans, you know, of that goal, and plus the way we got beat 4-2. You know, other things escalated, and fans come onto the field, and then the horses come on, and you know, I don't know, but I think the police are still looking for me for starting a riot at that game. So you know, it was fantastic. But you know, the goal was fantastic. You know, I'm just in our academy now here in Bangalore. We've just been teaching the students there. Be exciting when you get the ball.
You had unbelievable pace. Did you always have that as a youth team player as well? And even at Leeds in the first season, that pace to burn?
Yeah, I mean, I had it the right way through from, you know, growing up. I used to love running. I was always in the athletics teams. I used to run everywhere. I was quick, agile. So I always had it. And, you know, I didn't really need to work on it too much because it was something natural that was given to me. So I said, you know, I'll use it to me best, the best I could. You know, when I was at Leeds, I played on the left wing. And I think Eddie Gray then, Alan Clark brought me in, signed me. Then Eddie Gray seen me as this, you know, I think it was a mirror image of himself, quick, strong, agile, could cross balls, could pass balls, and, you know, and play the game. So then unfortunately, a couple of the left backs got injured at Leeds, and I went and played left back, and I never looked back since. You know, I just learned how to defend and get forward. So you talk about advanced fullbacks now in the modern game. I was doing it way back then. I was doing it when I was, you know, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years of age at Leeds United. So it was nothing new to me.
Just a natural, you know, natural athlete with unbelievable pace and strength. Yeah, and it must have been a nightmare for wingers as well, because, you know, a lot of times, especially back then, like you said, the fullbacks, the game and the role of a fullback has evolved. Before then, you know, they were obviously, you know, a heavier set, and, you know, they were probably good in the air, a bit of pace. But, you know, if you're a winger, you probably always fancy yourself to beat most of the fullbacks. But you, obviously, you're probably faster than most of the wingers.
Well, I used to enjoy it because I used to enjoy the challenge, and I used to talk to him. I used to say, right, you've got the ball, so it's up to you now to get past me. You know, if you want to come and take me on, you can try and do that. You see, I used to draw the line down my quarter of the field, okay, from their 6-yard box to my 6-yard box, and that was called my home. And anybody who used to come into my home knew they was going to have an hard time. And that's why I tried to make it really difficult for players. And going forward, make it difficult for players, because nobody liked people running at them. So I could do both. I could get up the field with the ball, and I can run back without the ball. And also my transition moments was absolutely great, getting there and getting back, because I was fit enough to do it and strong enough to do it. You know, going into tackles was fantastic. Never shirked to tackle. Headers, I could jump. I had the agility to do that. And we look at the players this day and age, they go down too softly. They get up like crybabies. You touch them, they go down. They're crying all over the place. I don't know what that's all about at the end of the day. You know, rugby players get hit and they don't go down. You know, so, you know, I think the game's changed in that way and all. It needs to be eradicated and looked at. So for me, it was about men versus men. And sometimes, I mean, I broke into the Leeds reserve team at 15 years of age. I was playing against internationals. So I always had that endeavourment to get forward and get back and work hard,
Yeah, that kind of dropping down thing and the diving stuff never really was, you know, a British or Irish way of playing. I mean, like I'm in Austria now, living here for 15 years, but, you know, grew up playing in Ireland. I organise, I run the Irish team here for the seven-a-side World Cup. And my nephews come over from Ireland to play. But I have to say to them, look, things are different here. This is Salzburg, it's Austria, you know, it's mainland Europe. You know, there's no such thing as a fair shoulder. And lads are going to dive all the time. So make sure don't touch them at all, because that's the way. But that's the way, like, you know, I always thought that was Italians or French or Germans that were doing all the diving. But Yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, now it's in the Premier League and it's everywhere, and it's sad that that's the way it is. Terry, who's the best player you've played with and the best player you've played against?
Oh, I mean, if I look at internationally, played with you gotta say Paul McGrath when he was on the field was absolutely fantastic. Roy Keane. I remember playing with a lad called John Sheridan at Leeds and at Ireland, and he was absolutely fantastic with the ball. But there's a couple. It's a very difficult one because I played with so many. But then when you look at the EPL, I would say Gianfranco Zola. I've got to put him up there,
Class.
because I've got to put him up there. And then, you had other people around like Ruud Gullit, who was coming to the end of his career. But Gianfranco Zola for me was probably one of the best players I'd ever played with. Unfortunately, in the '94 World Cup, I think he was on the bench, and he never played in that game against us. The best player I've played against. I look at Alan Shearer. And Alan Shearer had everything: strength, power, attitude. He could drift out to the wide areas. He was strong, aggressive. For me, he was well up there with the best who I'd played against. And then, obviously, internationally, if you look at people like Bert O'Donoghue, who have played against on many occasions in friendlies and obviously in the World Cup. Baggio, in that game. For me, I think in the EPL back in the day, it was all different. But for me, I think Alan Shearer was up there with the best of them because he had everything.
Terry,
Pace,
I'm absolutely
power.
delighted that you said that, because I'm a diehard Newcastle fan, and my idol growing up was Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
He had absolutely everything. I mean, he had pace. He was so strong. He could bully centre halves. I mean, he just didn't even have to look at the goal.
And he drift out to he drift out wide areas. He was quick and all out. He was quick over that 4 to 5 yards. He'd push it past you, whip the balls in. But for me, and he was a lovely lad, great lad. And I remember playing against him at Southampton as he was a young boy, and I'm thinking, this lad's going to go all the way, this lad. And I remember playing Wimbledon against him at Plough Lane, and he was strong, aggressive. He was knocking the likes of Andy Fawn about and Eric Young about, thinking he's gonna go a long way. And he just shows you what he did. It's a shame he never won the EPL or never won a major honour. But individual honours, I think he's got more than anybody in the world. So
he won the Premier League in '95 at Blackburn.
He did, yeah. Sorry, with Newcastle.
Never won it with Newcastle. No, oh God,
never knew.
I should have won it. Of that team with Les Ferdinand and Ginola and that fantastic team at Man United. Obviously, had more legs in the running. Right, Terry. You are coaching in India now. How in the name of Jesus did you end up there?
Well, I left England around about 2002, and I said, look, I'm going to start traveling, see more of the world, see different cultures. And I got offered to play in the MLS and in the A League in America. And I picked Charleston because it was a lovely area, and that they was playing in the A League. So I went and played over there, and I played a couple of years, and then I started getting into the coaching side of things, opened a business with a teammate of mine. That was going great. And then after a few years, I got an offer to go to New Zealand. Around about 2005, 2006, I headed down to New Zealand, coaching down there, managing down there, doing youth development down there, and obviously working for the Federation, Football South. And then that was linked to the New Zealand football. And I really enjoyed that. And then I get a call, look, there's a residential academy in Goa. They're looking at you. They want you to come over. I come over, met the owners and that. And I thought, great, new venture, new identity. Yeah, and I flew over, met them, signed the deal. And then 2009 to 2012, I was in Goa with Sesa Football Academy. And then obviously the schooling wasn't too great, so I went back to England, more education, 2012. And then I come back out again, the Kerala Blasters in Kerala. They play in the ISL. Sachin Tendulkar was part owner then. I said, look, can you come down? I want you to be technical director for all the youth programs and that around throughout Kerala. So I said, yeah, I can do that. I signed the deal 2014, come out 2015. And I was in Kerala for 4.5 years. Which was fantastic, running academies and football programs, coach education, which was absolutely brilliant. And then I get a call to come up to Bangalore, and I'm sitting in probably one of the best state-of-the-art facilities in India at this present time, which the owners have built, called South United Football Club. fantastic venue. We were probably about 5% off of finishing it with everything. And, again, coach education, player education. I'm building the football club up from, scratch again, from the foundations with the youth development. So, I've been in India now. This is my second stint for 7 years. The first stint was 2.5 years. 7.5 years I've been here at this present time. Bangalore, South India. Plus, I do a lot of TV work for Sony Sports TV up in Mumbai. I've been doing that for the last 7.5 years and all. So yeah, I found it's my home now, and I fully enjoy it. We can get there with the youth in India. There's more education going into them. There's more facilities popping up. But this is a state-of-the-art facility. And if I could walk you around and you could see it, you'd be absolutely amazed. It's absolutely beautiful.
Right, Terry. Now, like, for example, the way things are in Ireland at the minute, I'd say the football is the fourth sport. Gaelic football, hurling, rugby now is big. I haven't been to India. I was down in Sri Lanka last year and, just dominated by cricket. India, I always associated with cricket. How's the football? Is it getting bigger? Can it get there? Can it compete a little bit with cricket?
Well, listen, we've got the I League and we've got the ISL now popping up. We're starting up with women's professional league. The participation at the grassroots outreaches cricket at this present time, especially all over India. Children are picking the game up, because it's safe environments now. Parents are getting more renowned with football because, it's on TV all the time. Obviously, the English Premiership, Serie A, La Liga, all major competitions. So kids are picking it up now, and they're seeing it can be fun, and they can make a living out of it now. Parents are thinking now they can make a living out of it, the children, especially if they're enjoying it. And it's about getting out there, having fun, meeting new people, and building communities. Yes, it can get there. Obviously it's going to take time. It's probably like football in America. It's probably 2 or 3 levels down there. But if you look at the participation in it at this present time, from younger to older, it's fantastic. We've built a state-of-the-art facility for one reason, to bring the community in. And that's what we're surely doing now. There's kids out there training on it now. It's absolutely fantastic. I've just had kids out there, students out there training. So it can get there, more money's been pumped in from the All Indian Football Federation and from private members into football now. And I know our owners have absolutely been fantastic. The one family's had a dream, one son's had a dream to build a facility, and he's done that. And he's put his money where his mouth is. Now the hard work starts of, getting them to the next level. Let's not think about getting them into EPL. Let's think about them getting them through the club, and then into the national sides. And then on from the national sides, can they play in other parts of Asia first, and then getting them into the EPL, La Liga, Serie A? Let's not run before we can walk. So it's a long-term project, and we've got to be patient with that.
It's a process, and it sounds like you've got a vision, Terry, and it sounds like also that you're playing a huge part in that, and what could happen in the future for Indian football. You also seem like you're enjoying yourself down there. Quickly, Terry, we're going to head off soon, but yeah, like, I'm a massive Indian food fan. It's my favorite food in the world. How much better is the Indian food in India compared to the UK and Ireland?
How much better? 100 times better. Don't forget, in India, you've got different states, different cuisines, different tastes. You've got everything, different spices, so it's completely different. We go to our local Indian, we ask for a chicken korma or a chicken vindaloo, and you'll probably ask that for the next 25 years, so there's all different dishes, different spices out there. I obviously I was down in Kerala and Goa. They have, the fish curries, the Goan curries, the Kerala curries are absolutely wonderful. Different spices, so don't forget, it's not just, you can get curries from all over, and they call it gravy. They don't really call it curry. They call it gravy, so you can get it from all over. And the street food in some parts of India is absolutely fantastic. So I would say, come to India, try the food in India, go to different parts of India, and you'll know the difference. From when you go into and that's taking nothing away from, listen, the local restaurants in England, Ireland, wherever you are. Keep doing it. Keep enjoying it. But if you ever get a chance to come out to India, you might just have a little bit of a different taste in the old palate.
Terry, you should work for the Indian Tourism Board. Honestly,
I think
I'm starving now.
I think I will do. And you know, Appam, Italy. You know, you can get all that in the south. You know, and then if you go to Goa, the Goan curries, and then you can go. You know, if you're going to a place like Rajasthan and up to Delhi, completely different altogether.
Terry, would you ever consider coaching back home, back in the UK, or to be honest, you know, Ireland could do with a bit of help. Would you ever consider coming back to coach?
You know what, I say this, I'd love to come back to Ireland, and even if it's at the grassroots level, you know, and people like myself don't mind working at the grassroots level, I'd love to do that. Maybe not now, but I can see myself in maybe a few years. Once we finish the project off there and what we're cementing down here, I'd love to go back in Ireland, live in Ireland. I'm actually looking at houses now in Ireland, in different parts of Ireland, and hopefully I can get over there, reside back in Ireland after I finish my travelling. Yeah, so I'd love to do that at the grassroots levels, and do some coaching. It'd be absolutely fantastic. You know, I've got that in one of my dreams, so hopefully that dream comes true soon.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Terry, you'll be welcome with open arms. And with that, we will leave it. Terry Phelan, on behalf of Ireland fans all over the world, everywhere, I want to say thank you so much for your service to the green jersey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to hear more of our podcasts, please click on the red subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side. Thank you.